What's some brutally honest advice that everyone should know? Story 1. Your company doesn't give a shoot about you. If you die, your job will be posted within the week to replace you. You might get a bouquet of flowers on the break room table, but once those die, so will your presence at the job. Your family does give a shoot about you. If you die, your family will never be the same. Holidays will be tinged with sadness. Regular days will have a thin veil of grief over them for those closest to you. Stories about that time you ate butter straight off the table will be told while sad laughter rings out before someone inevitably mutters, "God, I wish he was still here." Choose your family, not your job. Answer: a coworker of mine passed away from cancer a few years back. I think about her sometimes, though we never worked closely, but they sent out an email, and that was that. My dad passed this last July, and every holiday since then has been nearly unbearable. I cried on Thanksgiving and I cried on Christmas. Ugly, heaving sobs, the kind that physically hurt. I cry in the car, on the bus, and at my desk. At a moment's notice, I'm bowled over, helpless. If your family is deserving, choose them, always. Story 2. Learn how to apologize properly. There are 3 components, and act on the things you say in that apology. Everyone fudge up. Not everyone repairs the damage and grows from it, but it all starts with the apology. 1. Own what you did. Speak it clearly and plainly. 2. Acknowledge the damage you caused, the impact on the other persons. 3. Articulate the changes you plan to make in order to prevent or reduce the risk of such a transgression from happening again. This is the part that you must follow through with. Story 3. Once you reach adulthood, being a jerk is going to close a lot of doors for you. At school, at work, with friends, and with family. Some of those doors don't open again. Adults don't go out of their way to help unpleasant people. Don't be a jerk, be pleasant instead. Story 4. You're going to have bad days. It stinks, but it happens to everyone. Doing the right thing when no one is looking makes you a good person. Sadly, money matters. It can be traded for time. Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. Green stuff is not a starter substances. It's adult beverage. When you don't know what to do, move forward. Forgive quickly. Grudges are heavy. You can swim 15 minutes after eating. Make mistakes. That's how you learn. Don't hurt people. Help people recognize. Everyone has their own reality. You're an afterthought. Water always finds the lowest point. Drilling a hole in a penny is cheaper than buying a washer. Good luck. Story 5. The longest relationship you ever have in life is with yourself. Don't light yourself on fire just to keep someone else warm. If someone offers you a mint, take it. It doesn't matter whether you're liked or disliked. It matters that you're respected. Imagine every coworker has a pistol pointed at you, and every word you say is a bullet. The only sure payout at the casino is the ATM. Everything happens for a reason. Sometimes it's the other person's reason. Story 6. It doesn't matter if they're best friends, family, or significant other. If they're mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, or intimacy abusing you, fudge leave. You don't have an obligation to them just because they helped you. You owe them nothing just because they gave you their time. You shouldn't put up with people by using excuses like, "It's complicated," or "It's not that bad." I can understand that things are nuanced and it can be messy, but outright abuse shouldn't be tolerated. Fudge. Leave. Go spend your happiness on others who will use it wisely and will love it just as much as they love you. Story 7. Enabling bad behavior is literally just like sabotage, the exact opposite of love. I didn't want to upset them. I didn't want to start an argument. I thought lying to make them feel better about what they did was an okay thing for me to do. Look how happy my lie made them. No. You literally just prolong the behavior that is ruining their life. If you truthfully love someone, you will always hold them accountable for their own actions and always tell them when they are fudge up, even if that means conflict will come from it. Allowing someone you love to keep fudge up just because you don't want conflict is dislike and sabotage. Sometimes conflict is needed in life, especially if you want to help people grow. It's hard for most people to take the blunt truth happily if it involves them being at fault, and most of the time it will cause conflict, but it'll lead to better outcomes in the long run. Conflict that leads to growth and long-term happiness. Lies that create immediate happiness but lead to long-term fudge-ups and repeated bad behavior. Story 8. Respect is more important than love. It doesn't matter how much you love a person or how good your intentions are or how strong you feel emotionally. If the respect isn't there, there's no ground to stand on. Don't ignore the red flags. Snide comments, slight put-downs, snappy remarks, ghosting, deprioritizing, etc. If they don't respect you, nothing else matters. Story 9. Don't take medical advice from TikTok Reels, especially about diagnosing yourself with autism or ADHD. I've seen too many posts that describe something that everyone does, but then claims it's an autism ADHD thing. For example, just because you rinse off your dishes before putting them in the dishwasher doesn't mean you have autism. Just because you tend to drop off your stuff by the front door instead of in the closet doesn't mean you have ADHD. Answer: this is a major irritation for me. I know a few people who are undiagnosed ADHD autism, but are actually just labeling normal human things. Meanwhile, my sister-in-law's son actually is autistic with a diagnosis, and he's struggled for a decade at school, struggles to make friends, or did for a long time, struggled for a long time regulating emotions, and has worked really hard to be just a kind, functioning teenage boy. He's had to fight for everything and done a fantastic job. In all likelihood, he'll struggle with employment and isn't the kind of person likely to have an easy ride of life. Resources are spread so thin in schools because so many kids have needs now, and means kids who do actually need those resources to exist don't get what they need to do well. And that's a real shame. Story 10. Make darn certain you have an advance directive and the person you elect as your proxy will respect it. Little is worse than seeing someone suffer against their wishes because their proxy won't let them go. In the same vein, you should make an advance directive at any age. You're never too young for passing or catastrophic disability. Sadly, by disability, I'm specifically thinking a stroke and the effects of one. You can have them at any time. Story 11. Dear strangers and less close relatives and community members, and everyone, no disabled people generally don't want to hear about your supplements, yoga, dietary advice, nor do they owe you medical details or trauma stories, or otherwise owe details about their intimacy lives, nor appreciate questions of that mature, nor your melodramatic and patronizing sympathy and belittlement. It's a general problem of excess. And just, no, do not touch a disabled person or their equipment without verbal consent in that moment. Too many people get further disabled by damaged bodies and damaged equipment of excessively impulsive butter wouldn't melt nonsense. Nor mock, not be afraid. Nor be outraged if someone needs to be in the road. Just curious or just trying to help is not good enough. Not for the advice or for a damaging physical intervention. You owe apologies and probably monetary recompense if it goes down that way. Generally unsolicited offers of prayer or healing just because you see or hear about a disability or other types of melodrama are an unhelpful addition to anyone's day, like a very specific kind of catcalling. Also, do not film disabled and visibly different people without their consent, nor taunt, nor aim to trick, harm, frustrate, or humiliate. That's seriously jerk behavior. Also, teach your children not to be this kind of arsehole. You owe apologies and possibly monetary recompense if it goes down that way. Also, Grice's maxim of quantity and common sense and empathy suggests that repeating "we're all different" it'd be boring if we were all the same. We accept you just as you are. Too often will sound hollow and take on the opposite meaning. Don't protest too much. It still counts the same if it's from several people. Same goes for "that was a joke" or "what," and several other euphemistic sounding terms for otherness. You need more reassuring words and genuine goodwill, not defensiveness, to repair these sorts of awkward moments. But not like more reassuring in the sense of, "I never meant anything like that. Don't be so silly. Don't worry. Keep calm. I didn't mean anything by it. I was only joking. You're just trying to get upset," etc. Or pressure that sounds more fluffy, but is still more about soothing your shaken upset and discomfiture and still telling the disabled person how to feel. Conflicting needs are a thing, but it shouldn't be a battle of wills or Thunderdome. Story 12. It is absolutely in your best interest in all avenues of life to make yourself as attractive as possible. You are putting yourself at a disadvantage personally and professionally if you don't put in work. Looks matter. Beauty is on the inside is bullshit. Story 13. A few weeks ago, I got called out on an MVC on the interstate. A man was driving his motorcycle on his way home. A tire came off a car going in the opposite direction, crossed a median, and jumped right into his face, causing internal decapitation. We did our thing, but he ultimately died, as you do with an internal decapitation. This call, more than any other in the last 20 years, really hammered home the lesson that it can end at any time. The advice from this is that you're going to die, and there's nothing you can do about it, so you might as well enjoy every minute of your life to the fullest while you still can. Eat that pint of ice cream. Bang that hot chick at work who's always giving you eyes. Snort that entire 8-ball on your own. Stop worrying about the markets or your BMI because none of it is going to matter when the next tire is coming for you. Story 14. Brutal honesty is completely unnecessary. You can be dead honest with someone without being a jerk about it. You can even be kind but firm, and whatever you need to tell them will probably be accepted better. Brutal honesty only seems to benefit the person being brutal. Story 15. The obsession to pathologize oneself and others based on a singular has gotten out of control. Some behaviors patterns overlap too, e.g. depression, anxiety, ADHD. Additionally, just because someone disagrees with you doesn't mean they're gaslighting you or that they're a narcissist. Story 16. It's fantastic to meet someone that'll give their shirt off their back for you, but at the end of the day, that person might prioritize their needs over yours, no matter how important it may be. Story 17. There are over 8 billion people in this world. You will not like all of them, and not all of them will like you. If you are always the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong rooms. None of it is real. None of it matters. We are all in the matrix. Enjoy every day. You never know how many you have left. Story 18. You are not the main character. You are not even an extra. You are not even a double for the extra. You are not even on the call sheet. You were never even hired. Your life will be as insignificant to this world as a particle of sand on a beach. So stop making everything about you. Story 19. I have a theory this applies to a lot of people, but you're addicted to being sad, angry, or anxious. People act like they want to get better and might think they really do, but doom scroll endlessly looking up anxiety or anger producing content, watch horrific movies, spend their free time rehashing arguments or rehearsing future ones, find or create problems in their relationships, reject peace in general, all because it's just what they're used to, and I swear some people even like it. Story 20. The bully's secret weapon is they are willing to break rules their victims won't. The way to defeat a bully is to A, surprise them with something that doesn't break rules, like passive resistance, or B, Powell doctrine, go in with overwhelming force. If they break a rule, you break it on steroids. Story 21. Every failure is an opportunity to learn and become a better version of yourself. Life challenges us on purpose. Embrace the challenges. We chose experience these things to learn from them. Even JF, we don't understand why. We are all flawed and have room to learn and grow. Story 22. Quite a few. 46-year-old married man in the UK here. No one is coming to save you. You're responsible for yourself. Whether you like it or not, the boss is the boss. It is, sadly, always who you know, not what you know. Depression and anxiety can convince you that you somehow deserve them. You don't. At work, you are, regardless of position or what you think to the contrary, completely and easily disposable at a minute's notice. The bigger they are, the harder they hit, not fall. Never, ever trust a fart. Very, very few people suit hats. Story 23. So if you have to have something, you are addicted to it. Therefore, you have a monkey on your back. Do not get a monkey on your back. Whether it's coffee, adult content, or substances, if you cannot go without, you are addicted. Have self-control to say no. Story 24. Altruistic authoritarianism syndrome, suppression and control, under the guise of collective good. This concept refers to a psychological pattern where individuals justify oppressive actions, such as destroying the property or restricting the freedoms of others, especially those in vulnerable positions, under the pretense of benefiting the greater good. Such actions are typically grounded in self-imposed moral or ethical standards that the individual believes are universally valid. Criticism or dissent is often met with severe retaliation, including public condemnation, threats, or coercive measures. Story 25. Karma does not exist. It is an old superstition, the belief that the universe sorts things out. It doesn't. In reality, sometimes consequences are fair, maybe even very satisfactory. But good things happen to bad people, and bad things come from good intentions. Don't kid yourself that the universe cares about fairness. Story 26. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Make your peace with that. The quicker, the better. Whether it's something as simple as someone running a red light, meaning you have to sort out your insurance, or as complex and damaging as a parent beating you your entire childhood. Even if it's not your fault it happened, it's still your responsibility to get your shoot together and sort it. Story 27. People treat you better and you have a low body fat percentage and a toned body. Being in shape tells everyone without you saying anything that you are disciplined, have self-control, understand delayed gratification, have goals, and are consistent in executing those goals. Story 28. Your college years, use them to work hard. Sorry, but it's true. Those 4 years, not the best years of your life, just the time someone else is paying for it. However, the 60 years after that, much longer and more importantly. Set yourself up for those years in a good grad school and help you with that, or good internships in summers. You get it. Do not get married young. You are a different person at 30 than you are at 20. Women freeze you eggs in your 20s. This gives you options. You can kind of have it all, but not all at the same time. It's a balancing act, and having nice, juicy 20-something eggs gives you options. Try not to have kids too young, because when you have kids, metaphorically speaking, your turn is over. Fun trip to Paris, or your kid's tuition, those great shoes or statement bag, an investment piece you could tell your single self, or the swim team, the ADHD tutor, and the class trip to Washington. Parties out at night? Well, you get the picture. When you do have kids, make you life kid-centric. It really is about helping be the best little humans they can be. Not spoiled, just great humans. Women, again, there is still a double standard for everything. It's better, but not by a ton. We also have the true disadvantage of having a binding hormone released after we have intimacy with some bozo because we drank too much. Great. Now we have bonded to the bozo we really didn't like in the first place. Sorry. It's easier to break up if you don't let them pet the kitty. Be really, really picky about who you marry, because they are responsible for 90 of your happiness and 90 of your misery. They will not change. They will not learn to love. Working out, skiing, a lifestyle you love, but they never did. Now they may evolve slightly, but fundamentally change. No, you must also like the parents and family unless it's all LC. You are stuck with them too, no matter what. Life's rejection is God's form of protection, so don't sweat it. Friends are there for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And if you have 3 close friends at the end of your life, that's a lot. Put your energy into those people. Do not make too many friends at work. They are work friends, not real friends. Save money. It's a form of protection. Save it in many places, in many different types of things, including cash and small wafers of gold. It's not to buy fancy things, it's to get you out of trouble. It's to pay for things when you need them badly. Don't lend money you cannot afford to lose. Have contracts for everything, even with family. Story 29. It's very rare to find your dream job that pays you well and leads to amazing opportunities and makes you very happy. Instead, you have a job or career where an aspect of it you must compromise on. Whether it's the salary, position itself, long commute, terrible boss, or coworkers, etc. You have to ask yourself, what are you willing to put up with? Try not to let your health be something you sacrifice, though. The seen and unseen consequences can be deadly. Story 30. Anything, good or bad, can happen to anyone, anytime, anywhere, for any or no reason at all. You could be Hitler reborn and win the lottery, and Mahatma Gandhi reborn and get hit by a truck on some random Wednesday afternoon. There's no rhyme or reason to this thing. Story 31. I saw a post on apology and forgiveness that I just could not get behind, but I wanted to start a new thread. I think the lesson I have learned is that I apologize for myself, not the person I have wronged. I own my actions and do not seek to mitigate that. I have standards for a sincere apology, and if I don't meet that, it should and does bother me. I do not take responsibility for his pets I did not cause. Just because I apologize does not mean I take all the responsibility, just that which I am responsible for. The other half of this is that I don't forgive a person to erase or undo their wrongdoing. I do it, again, for myself. I do it to let go of anger, resentment, and other relational awkwardness. This has been a source of happiness in my life. Someone said, why carry someone else's baggage? I say, why add baggage that contains no residual value or use? Take your lessons, not the feelings. My life experience may inform this. 1, I am a middle-aged Canadian, so I know a thing or two about apologizing. Not the stereotype habitual, sorry we do. Our government has delivered apologies for a number of historical wrongs recently, and while some have felt impudent about his, I have found the meaning behind these, the very big work behind that action, profound. 2, I was raised in the Catholic Church, which again, despite stereotyping, reflects feebly and honestly on the act of salvation, the repentance, and forgiveness. I think a lot of religions do this. None of them so in as much time with their followers on it, and I truly think Nick Kay's refailing of organized religion. 3, I had many unfair conditions placed upon me, mostly medical, starting in my mid-teens. I feel like that age is horrible to go through that. You've got a few years of growing independence and figuring out who you are, and bang, pulled back, limited, humbled. Who's to even blame? Forgiving circumstance was a hard one for me, but I feel like I came out on the other side a wiser person. Story 32. This is mostly for men. Learn to be comfortable on your own. The unfortunate reality is that there's a very good chance you're going to be on your own for a lot of your life. Try your best to learn how to still have fun and do the things you want to do. Story 33. By and large, when it comes to money, people will do what they can get away with. The more money is involved, the less ethics will come into it. Don't ever expect fairness to just be afforded to you when money is involved. Nothing breaks up a family like a fight over inheritance. Story 34. You constantly talking about your depression shows me it's your crutch, excuse, and way to get sympathy and attention. It's become your dear friend because it's what is keeping you from facing the truth head on. You are hiding behind your depression. You don't actually want to change because your crutch and excuse will be gone. Story 35. Being overweight absolutely creates many health problems. If you are having foot or knee problems and are overweight, then that is something to think about. That is just an example. There are many more. I am somewhat overweight myself and coming to the conclusion that I have to do something. Story 36. Procrastination is nothing more but a declaration that you don't respect the time you are given because you believe you'll have more time to do it later. Who says you'll have later? You are not owed later. All of the people who died today thought they had a later and they didn't have one. You will run out of time. Story 37. Politics, and certainly geopolitics, are extremely complicated. Nobody can ever be right and certainly not 100 right. I think it's very important to keep an open mind each time a problem presents itself instead of immediately siding with whichever political party you belong to. The amount of spin on every story is so crazy it's hard to get the data or facts sometimes. It's annoying. Story 38. Maybe you've got to work harder. Maybe you need to sell all of your personal belongings and start hanging out with your unemployed friends. Time isn't well spent anywhere until you decide what's its value. Story 39. You're going to feel like a dumbass at the time, but there's no shame in asking for help when you clearly need help. Don't know something. Me as a guy who doesn't know shoot about home improvement work or auto repair. I had to ask my friends how to change a tire and jumpstart a battery for future incidences. All of them looked at me shocked that I never learned this basic car stuff, but I eventually was taught anyway. The initial cringe of not knowing something will always hurt, but in the end you will gain experience and knowledge because of it. Story 40. Never judge someone's actions by your life if they had a totally different one. For example, old people should stop judging today's young adults by what we did 50 years ago by letting them be upset about how much everything costs and low wages are. Likewise, young adults shouldn't assume old people are stupid, have age-related dementia, or are lying when they say something the younger adults don't think is real by letting us say that our lives were hard too. Everyone has lived their own life. Respect that if it's at all possible. All generations need to stop the dislike, mongering, and I'm suffered more than you did, though. Story 41. Life isn't always fun or fair. Many things will happen that you don't agree with, no matter your opinion. Life isn't so much about changing everything to your liking, but to successfully navigate things. This acceptance is a key to your happiness. Also, happiness doesn't just get handed to you. It's best to always be seeking it. Story 42. Just change your mind. Stop doggedly holding on to your opinion once you learn some things which counter what you originally thought. It doesn't make you a flip-flopper or a flake or a hypocrite. It means you have a spine and integrity. People will respect you so much more. People don't respect you when you blatantly ignore facts and science. You just look stupid. Story 43. You are no more deserving of wealth than anyone else who works hard and makes sacrifices. The vast majority of the people on this planet currently and throughout history have worked hard and made sacrifices. You haven't made more than anyone else. No matter how much you try and convince yourself you're more deserving, you're not. So shut up about your worked hard and made sacrifices bullshit. More likely than not, you had access to opportunities because you won the birth lottery. There, but for the grace of God, go you. Story 44. You are no more deserving of wealth than anyone else who works hard and makes sacrifices. The vast majority of the people on this planet currently and throughout history have worked hard and made sacrifices. You haven't made more than anyone else. No matter how much you try and convince yourself you're more deserving, you're not. So shut up about your worked hard and made sacrifices bullshit. More likely than not, you had access to opportunities because you won the birth lottery. There, but for the grace of God, go you. Story 45. Besides your close friends and family, you don't actually matter. And when you die, the latest family generation that was alive at the time will barely remember you. Like my grandma had a massive role in raising my brother and me, but his kids don't know or care about any stories told. They'll listen but won't remember. Story 46. Socialism, communism sounds like a winner, but the reality is the centralized power structure it results in is both one of the deadliest forms of government ever to exist and one that creates scarcity because otherwise productive people don't see the personal benefit in working harder than everyone else, to have all the rewards just be distributed to those who need it more by someone else who can apparently decide better. Story 47. Leaving difficult relationships is difficult, but if the individual doesn't positively contribute to your happiness or well-being, it's best to rip off the Band-Aid and go, especially if you have kids. Don't stick around because you think little Timmy needs two parents. Kids are not stupid. They see the dysfunction. Story 48. Why not? Isn't a good reason to decide whether or not you should create one or more human lives. They're a lifelong commitment, very expensive to raise, and delicate both physically and emotionally, requiring nearly 247 attention for the first few years, and potentially inheriting or being born with disabilities that will make existence harder for them for the rest of their lives. Story 49. Is each room baby-proof and safe for youngsters? Or do you have random tools and dangerous equipment from your tradesmen's born strewn about your living space? Is your personal space pet-proof and hospitable to furry friends? Or is clutter blocking the entryways and the guests from arriving? If you sustain an injury and need easier access to each room of your living abode, would the space you set up be as welcoming in this context? The more you can do to make your personal space welcoming to guests and unexpected visitors, the more the space will also benefit you in ways you don't expect them to help you. The more your space welcomes others, the more you also will feel warmly welcomed into your own space also. Story 50. No one is coming to save you. Especially on Reddit, you see a lot of rhetoric about how society is broken, and if we just change this giant list of things, your life would be perfect. It's not going to happen. At least not in time for it matter for you. By all means, work to change the things you see wrong with the world, but stop waiting around for the world to change and take agency over your own life. Story 51. Fawning, being people-pleasing, avoidance, and reporting are absolutely invaluable, underrated essential survival skills in modern society, especially with finance-related situations. Also, our current society is still very much in the dark ages and will be for tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years, including most current humans, are spiral dynamic stages, orange and worse devils. Current society is a pyramid scheme rather than a frustrum structure. And current society is still operating industrial revolution technology rather than automation revolution technology. Realizing these truths increases your wisdom. Story 52. That there are people that will make you feel like they agree with you or be nice and smile and polite, but inside they won't give a shoot. Courtesy and manners doesn't mean they agree or even meet you halfway. Half the time, they're just polite thinking in their head, what an idiot. Story 53. Most people you come across in life don't give a shoot about you one way or the other, and you won't give a shoot about most people you cross either. Shoot goes both ways. Treat people how you want to be treated anyway, unless they give you a reason not to. Story 54. Not everyone is going to like you, and it's actually a good thing. It gives you the chance to make more room for those who do like you. Story 55. No matter how well you prepare for something and how rigidly you follow the rules and execute the objective, it will often fall apart. That's just life sometimes. It feels like life is against you, but it isn't. It's just how the chips fall sometimes. Story 56. This life is broken and unfair. Bad things will happen, and while we should try our best to make it as fair and just as possible, we will never be able to change that fact. We must accept the reality that there will always be suffering, unfairness, and pain. The harsh reality is that there is an acceptable amount of horrible things, an acceptable amount of deaths, innocent people put in prison, injuries, suffering, etc. Not because those people don't matter, but because the cost to prevent them causes more of a different kind of oppression, unfairness, or suffering. So if the goal is to have zero suffering or unfairness, we will not only fail, we will make extremely costly decisions where we throw away things like freedom, for example, in order to prevent a very small number of people who suffer. Because no one wants to admit this, people from all sides fight to the end for their cause, instead of working together to try and find a balance in order to minimize the amount of bad in all its various forms. Suffering is a part of this life and normal. It cannot be completely separated from us except at the expense of others, though the suffering will still exist, only in the form of mental disorders. Story 57. Admit when you're wrong or when you don't know. I have discovered that this is one of the most valuable skills around. When you can answer a question with, I don't know, but I'll try to find out, it sets you up to learn, and demonstrates a willingness to do so. It might seem uncomfortable at first, but getting comfortable admitting your own ignorance, absolutely priceless. It's legit become one of my favorite phrases. It opens the door for those more knowledgeable to teach me and exposes my own gaps in knowledge, which I like to at least attempt to fill. So, in a nutshell, be humble, and for the record, I'm 40, but the moment I stop learning is when I actually become old. Story 58. Arseholes prosper. Talent and hard work does not mean you will be paid well. Who you know is more important than what you know. Interviewing well is much more important to your career than actually doing the job. If you live in the global south, climate change will fudge you. You should have moved yesterday. Do not assume the police will take your side. Every person in a fight loses. Being beaten fudge sucks. You age fast. If you neglect sleep, diet, and exercise in your 20s, you will know by your 30s. It's easy to be fit when you're young. Gaining the weight is easier than losing the weight. Story 59. Life is suffering. It's actually how you know you are alive. We literally have chemicals in our brains that get produced when good things happen that are so powerful, they drive you to stay alive in order to experience them. And if you dare to cause too many of those chemicals to show up, your brain has to create more receptors for them that never go away, and you will feel both withdrawal and devoid of the good chemicals because all the receptors aren't full until you learn to cope with the extra receptors. Discipline, hard work, and struggle are endemic to the human condition. The good news is that you were literally built for this. Just don't enjoy yourself too much. Story 60. If your marriage is in trouble, should you be having lunch with that cutie at work? Little steps lead you down a path. Does it go where you want to get to? Story 61. Here are a few that I found helpful. 1. No one cares as much about you as you do yourself. Positive. You criticize yourself more than others would do. Negative. Your mental physical health is only your responsibility and concern. Your loved ones want you to succeed only until they have to make sacrifices consistently. Your family would ask you to earn more, but they don't want you to spend most of your time at work. 3. Attraction doesn't last forever. You might be madly in love with someone, but remember that you are only in love with a certain version of them. When that changes, you will lose interest. 4. You can't spend your entire life blaming someone else for your insecurities. It's your job to heal yourself. Story 62. You fudge know what you should do, but you are looking for any excuse you can find to deny it because you don't want to do it. Get the fudge over it and just do it. The good times and distractions you chase are eliminate you and making you weak and boring. Do the shoot you are dreading and make yourself strong. What you do creates what you are. Story 63. Calvin Coolidge. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. The slogan, "Press on," has solved and always will solve the problems of the human race. Story 64. When it comes to drama in relationships, I always ask people if they would be okay with their best friend or family member being in a relationship like their own. Like, would you be okay with your friend or family member being treated the way you are being treated? Would you like their partner? If not, then it's probably your sign to leave. Story 65. Sometimes the solution to your problem ends up becoming the problem. Perfect example of this is addiction to substances, adult beverage, screens, food, coffee, whatever. The vice is first used as a solution to a problem, then you become dependent on it, then it itself becomes the problem. You need to fix the root cause of the problem. This is very difficult. Story 66. Signs they're a scumbag, people who litter, people who hurt animals, people who yell at their parents, able-bodied people who don't return shopping carts to the designated parking lot areas, exceptions being handicapped, elderly single parents with children, etc. People who purposefully ignore the 10 items or less sign at checkout lanes, with some leeway. If you got like 12, 15 items, sure, but I mean a cart full. Story 67. People who love you aren't responsible for taking care of you, and their best efforts often fail. You are responsible for yourself, accountable for your own behavior no matter what emotions you are having, and incapable of controlling anything except how you choose to respond to what happens. And you alone control as well how much beauty and joy you find in the world. Story 68. The circumstances of your birth are irrelevant. Race, gender, country, financial status, none of it matters. Life is rough. The quote, "The grass is always greener on the other side," proves to be true. At the end of the day, every person has free will. And even if we are forced to do things at the end of it all, you ultimately decide. No one can think for you and move for you. As I see it, your personal obstacles should never be an excuse unless it's medical related, where you're physically and mentally not able to do something. Even then, that's been disproven as well. There's been musicians whom are deaf and painters that didn't use their arms or sight. It's all just hard work, talent, and will. Just because you can't be the best at something you want to do doesn't mean you should give up on it. And if you just don't have the talent for it, then do it because it makes you happy. Everyone is good at something. Some don't know what that talent is until they are forced to use it. In the end, your choices and actions are what defines you. There's never a real excuse for being a horrible person, just a lack of fortitude and willpower. Story 69. Something Redditors need to read in particular. Until crypto actually gets backed by a major country as a legitimate currency, they should all be treated like a volatile stock. Maybe it gets legit currency status someday, but please recognize that it's entirely speculation until that point. Story 70. You are always one mistake away from losing nearly everything that matters to you. So always do a little due diligence to protect yourself because people suck. Practice turning the video recording on your phone as quickly as possible. Heck, if you are in a situation that might even be remotely taken the wrong way, start recording. Save yourself from becoming the bad guy. Story 71. You are not a paycheck. You are human with feelings, interests, and heart. Story 72. Y'all need to start investing for retirement. I'm going to try not to give specific advice here because that's not the point of this comment. But even if you just put $100 a month in to the SP 500, that would make such a difference 20 or 30 years from now. If you just start, you'll learn how it works, what works best for you, risk tolerance, etc. The younger you start, the better you'll be off. Story 73. Life is ridiculously short, a blink of an eye, a speck of dust, in the grand scheme of things. It's important to ask yourself sometimes whether that thing you're doing is worth it, that job going nowhere, that relationship that doesn't make you happy, that argument over something silly is worth it. Story 74. You don't have to accept blame, but you do need to accept responsibility. If your life isn't going the way you want, you're still in charge. Blame is pointless, and you need to get past the people and reasons you're stuck. Reasons are not excuses. Changing often involves doing something hard that you don't enjoy for a long time, but that's life for all of us. Story 75. You have a responsibility to defend yourself. Just as a nation is considered a nation only if it can protect its borders, so are you expected to take care of and defend your own integrity. Merely feeling hurt or being hurt does not qualify you for anything. Story 76. Maybe not advice as much as harsh fact. The Earth existed for a very, very long time without human beings. If we die off in a natural or even self-inflicted manner, the planet will rebuild in a new way and just keep on going. We suck for fudge up the environment as it is, but TBH, saving the planet is ultimately just self-preservation. Story 77. When I was a young boy at about 10 years old, I had trouble getting along with other kids. My father said something that resonated with me for the rest of my life. He said, if you're fighting with everybody in the room, it's you that's wrong. You're the problem, no matter what you think. I'm not going to say this is true 100 of the time, because in some instances, it's not. But most often it's true. Story 78. Sometimes there's no way to fix a situation, and genuinely the only thing you can do is walk away. It won't make it right, it won't make it better for you, and it can still make you feel like shoot or play at the back of your mind, see all comments saying life isn't fair. But knowing when to walk away from a situation is a life skill. Story 79. No, sometimes that people may be in a crappy mood, and it's not because of you or anything, but we don't know what's going on in their life. Is someone sick? If they lost someone, there's so many reasons. So just be kind. Your smile may really push them through another level. Story 80. If you are overweight, it's almost certainly your own doing. You can lose weight, but it takes a lifestyle shift, not just a crash diet. For every kg 2 pounds you are overweight, it is going to take at least 1 week to lose. You get great loses at the start, but it will slow down, and when it does, you have to keep at it. Story 81. You might be special, but you probably aren't. Don't bet your life on it. And sometimes practice doesn't always make perfect. Quite often you are just not good enough and never will be, no matter what your parents say about your performance. Again, don't bet your life on it.